this story is pretty wild to me. So very wild. I don't know if many of you have read comic books. I don't know how. I'm assuming most of you have probably seen an X-Men film before, and are a little bit associated with the character Mystique, a little bit associated with the character Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler has had a very interesting history. Mystique is his mother, but now she's not his mother, she's his father, and the mother is her lesbian partner. So if you are very confused about how all that is so, there's a special comic book that has retconned the origin of his birth. Um, so we're gonna go through that. Marvel Comics retcons Nightcrawler's origin, reveals X-Men teleporter as biological son of lesbian mutants Mystique and Destiny. So there you go. They got a special book out for them. X-Men Blue Origins Volume 1. One BAMF forward, several dozen BAMFs back. If you don't know what BAMF is, that's like the noise when Nightcrawler teleports. Replacing one questionable editorial decision with another, Marvel Comics has finally retconned Nightcrawler's widely panned mutants are demons backstory by revealing that rather than Mystique and Azazel, the furry blue teleporter, is actually the biological son of the blue shapeshifter and her lesbian lover Destiny. Azazel, he was in First Class, but they didn't address his relation to Nightcrawler at all. But he was the demon-looking guy. Here she is talking a little bit about the situation. I don't know what's with her outfit here, but there's some woke stuff in here. He's saying, but you're both women. She's like, don't be pathetic. I have lived for years as sapien males, years more as females. Do you know what I have observed? They're all as awful as each other. The only true binary division lies not between genders or sexes or sexualities. It lies between those who are allowed to be who they wish and those denied that right. I am Raven Darkholme, whatever else I am or am not, whether it be for a lifetime or single night, it is for nobody but me to say. So her being a lesbian like isn't like I get it. Like she's a shapeshifter. She can, be male, female, whatever. The I get my biggest contention about this all is it radically like alters her powers or the perception of what her powers has been for the longest of time, and I don't really think that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, buckle up, readers, as it's time to take a ride through the tangled history of X-Men's resident swashbuckler, beginning with a stop in the franchise's heyday of the 1980s. During his famous run on the team, writer Chris Claremont consistently teased a familial connection between the two respective mutants, primarily due to their shared blue skin and fully yellowed eyes. Notably, at no point during his run did Claremont ever directly address the topic of Nightcrawler's paternal heritage, though according to artist John Breen, who served as an illustrator on many of the writer's stories, it was at a certain points, respectively, intended to be Nightmare, then Destiny. At one point, Chris wanted to reveal that Kurt's father was Nightmare, said Breen, while speaking to fans on his Breen Robotics forum. Roger Stern, as editor, put the kibosh on that one, as explained by Stern in a 2009 interview with CBR's Timothy Callahan. I put a stop to the Nightmare connection before I became the X-Men's editor. It happened when I was the writer of Doctor Strange, back when the writers were still occasionally listened to. Chris had come up with the latest several crazy ideas and declared that Nightcrawler's father was Nightmare. And I replied with something like, no, he's not. I'm not going to let you appropriate one of my character's major villains. As I recall, Lean Wayne crossed the room and shook my hand. So Good on that writer. But eventually, said Breen, Chris decided Kurt's mother was Destiny and his father was Mystique. So this is actually an old bad idea. Unfortunately for Claremont, thanks to Stern's editorial oversight, again, speaking to Callahan, Stern noted that no plan ever existed to reveal Nightcrawler's parentage, as it simply wasn't that important to us then. This concept was never canonized and instead left on the cutting room floor. Then, after nearly a decade of teases regarding their relationship in 1994's X-Men Unlimited Volume 1, number 4 saw author Scott Lobdell built upon his predecessor's connective tissues and finally confirmed that Mystique was, in fact, the biological mother of one Kurt Wagner. Further, at the time, his father was established as one Baron Christian Wagner, a German nobleman whom Mystique had married in order to take personal advantage of his social influence and immense wealth. And for the next 10 years, thus would remain the Circus Elves family tree. Then came Chuck Austen. If you remember back in the day when they had the X-Men 90s cartoon, you know, the da-na-na-na-na-na. They did an episode when he confronted Mystique about being his mother. So she was just a mean woman. And you know, he just really held on his faith and he's just, you know, never let it kind of really get him down. It was still like, you know, I will pray for you when he confronted her. And she's just like, yeah, I'm a monster and I threw you off of a cliff, you know, and I did whatever I wanted to for my own benefit.
So there's your truth, son. I didn't want you. Still sad for me.
She was just a hardcore kind of woman. I don't like in the films what they did with Jennifer Lawrence and the mutant and proud and all that teeny bopping stuff with her. I didn't like that. I know there's different levels and layers to Mystique and stuff, but I just didn't like that soft approach they took to her. Some people are just let them be let them be bold and psychopathic and just let him be. Just let him be. One of the most notorious X-Men writers of all time, a very noted critic of religion in all forms, when Austen took over Marvel's Merry Band of Mutants, one of his main goals, obscenely inspired by Nightcrawler's noted Catholicism, was to subvert the concept of angels and demons by revealing that rather than being of divine origin, these beings were nothing more than a species of proto-mutants. This, of course, included Satan, who, according to Austen's retconning, was not a fallen angel, but rather an ancient red-skinned proto-mutant teleporter known as Azazel. So this storyline was not popular. At one point in history, they wrote that twice, to desire children with Earth women in order to allow him a stronger connection to the mortal plane from his home and the brimstone dimension. Unsurprisingly, it's a long story. Azazel's machinations eventually led him to make the acquaintance of Baron Wagner and Mystique, who at the time of their meeting were reeling from their recent discovery that Baron could not sire any children. Taking advantage of her desperation for his own ends, Azazel seduces Mystique, their affair ultimately resulting in the birth of the dimensional tethering child who shared his parents' blue skin, pointy tail, and teleportation abilities. So is Mystique's skin, his teleportation abilities, and pointy ears, etc. So that's why he looks like a demon. If any of that sounds completely bonkers to you, worry not, you're not alone. Between its obvious and surface level criticisms of religion and complete disregard for the actual characters of its main cast, Austen's run ultimately went down in history as one of the worst X-Men runs of all time. To this end, newer readers may even be completely unaware of Kurt's demon background, as Marvel has chosen to quietly avoid addressing the subject ever since Austen left the book. So this is the Blue Origins. I don't know why Nightcrawler is Spider-Man right now. Um, released on November 29th, 2023, the one-shot spin-off from Kurt's current Uncanny Spider-Man solo series reveals that rather than Azazel and Mystique, the fan favorite mutant is actually the offspring of the blue villainess and her female lover Destiny. As detailed by writer C. Sapur, continuing her affair with Destiny throughout her marriage to Baron Wagner, Mystique is eventually met by an admission from her mutant precog that she would like to build a family. I would like to build a family, Raven. I find that I would love to build a family with you. So, yeah. From there, as recalled by Mystique to her son, there were other pregnancies, other births before and after, accidents, inconveniences, tragedies upon arrival, but never a child conceived in love. So we made a baby, just her and me. So, taking note of Nightcrawler's obvious bewilderment regarding the exact mechanics of his new origin, Mystique proceeded to explain that the pregnancy was made possible by her ability, at first introduced in this moment, to manipulate cells, hormones, and ribosomes. And to this end, she then details that thanks to this command of genetics, she's able to craft Kurt's own traits at the time of his conception, noting that Christian, Azazel, and countless others, they were but the shades of my palettes. So he's confused in there. She's like, you think I could just copy like a squid and I move around my skin? She's like, no, I can take a DNA and do all these things and manipulate all this stuff. Then no, who knew these things? um, but she also says that she wished that she had a girl. Oh, just you can't stop being mean to Nightcrawler, huh?
I didn't want you.
I do wish that we had a girl. So here's how much is left. I will finish it out and then I'll give my thoughts on this. And further detailing Mystique's new power upgrade in a story letter penned by X-Men's resident mad genius scientist Dr. Nemesis featured within the issue elaborates, she is not simply adjusting musculature and skin, but rewriting the genomic instructions in every singular cellular nucleus of her body all at once and all without conscious thought. To put it differently, adds the doctor, Mystique is not a shapeshifter. She's a gene shaper. Her flesh is the most sophisticated biological apparatus I've ever encountered. X-Men Origins Blue Volume 1 is on sale now. Meanwhile, Kurt Mystique's story is currently set to continue swinging on in December 20th, Uncanny Spider-Man Volume 1, number 5. So, what's puzzling? What's puzzling? My sister's like conceived in love and dumped off a cliff. There you go. Oh gosh. Yeah, this retcon's like too many things for me. So Mystique, when she uses her powers, she doesn't change enough to be able to copy someone's powers. So she's a shapeshifter. She mimics people. So she could shape, like, do you remember in the movie, like the very first X-Men movie?
There's someone here.
She turned into Wolverine and she was kicking his butt at first. She was kind of pretty, slick, getting around different places and do the cool, kind of moves and whatnot. And then he like chopped her claws and she screamed because she didn't really have adamantium claws. So she turns into the Hulk or whatever. She doesn't actually have the Hulk strength. She turns into Jean Grey. She can't actually like have psychic powers and all those things. Because she is just kind of doing a surface level change. She could like change enough that she could change a retina scan, but she can't change enough that she could mimic someone's powers. But if she can shift her genes and all that stuff, how can she not go far enough? Especially if she could do all this stuff unconsciously. and it just she wants to do it, she wills it, so it just kind of without having to know the intensity of how much her DNA needs to shift. If she wanted to change and mock and mimic someone's powers, copy someone's powers, then how would she not be able to do that? What she's describing now right now that she's able to do to make a baby is crazy. It's so OP. She should be a mega level. Is she? I don't. It's she should be like one of the most powerful mutants there are. She should be like that scroll that was in Secret Invasion or something. If she can do all that stuff, why can't she do all that stuff? If she can make a baby without a man, I'm just baffled because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense with her powers, or at least how we've understood her powers to be. She's radically more powerful than we've ever thought of her being before, just to make her have a mommy and a daddy who are both women. Now her and most people in the comments who didn't, I saw this article that was posted on Twitter. It looked like maybe a lot of people didn't read it, and they're just like, she made sperm, or I wouldn't have maybe guessed that she would have been able to do that. But even if she turned into a man and she could produce their sperm or whatever and impregnated her girlfriend and made Kurt, if that's how things came to be, then she still wouldn't be the paternal figure for Kurt. She would have been more like, because it wouldn't have been her DNA to make the baby. It would have been like, X-23, her father is Wolverine, despite the fact that he didn't impregnate someone to make it happen. It was kind of like a clone, like a manipulated DNA kind of clone that created an offspring, pretty much. But that's not what they're saying even happened in the book. What they're saying is that she, because there's this panel here. She said, normally I wouldn't dirty my hands with gametes, borrowing treats from the flesh I've touched, the people I've known, Christian, Azazel, and countless others. They were shades of my palette, and that's where she's annoyed that he wasn't a girl, and I don't understand why she couldn't bag that outcome, but so basically, if any of you are familiar with Dragon Ball Z, there is a villain named Cell, and Cell was created by Dr. Gero, and Dr. Gero took, DNA samples from Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo and maybe Gohan, and who else did they get? All kinds of different people. Frieza, to make this being called Cell. He grew in a lab, and he had all their powers. I think he had all of their knowledge or whatever. And so they're saying that she combined all this genetic material that she was aware of, that she got over time to create this sample. And I guess she would have had to also intermingle her own DNA, because that's where the blue skin comes from, to create the sperm, the gametes that would have gone to fertilize Destiny's eggs. It's just a lot to think about. But yeah, her powers, I'm not aware of it being like obtaining DNA and then becoming the person like that, just like a copy level surfacing. Now I have a book with a character who does shape shift and doesn't just mimic in the way that we've understood Mystique to do. The person can actually copy people's powers as well. And they can't just like see you and then change, which I believed was like what Mystique could do. They'd have to actually like touch you, and that's the way of them acquiring the DNA. And then they can take on your physical form, and they can also take on your power form. And so I don't understand why Mystique can't do all the things. Why she can't do? Maybe she can. Maybe she can, and we'll find that out. But throughout the years, why has she been able to sustain injury? And she has that much control over her body like that. Um, why can't she take on people's powers and their strength and all sorts of stuff if she can manipulate DNA to that sort of degree? All that stuff that because that was at least a weakness, not a weakness, but it was an attribute about her powers that made her not overpowered. The fact that she could only look like someone and didn't actually get super strong or whatever. And now that they've changed all this stuff just so she could be the father and Destiny could be the mother, they've really, really altered this character in such a crazy way. I'm baffled. Baffled about all this. So you guys can let me know what you think. There were some people who are like, if you're true fans of the comic books, you wouldn't have a problem with this. You wouldn't have an issue with this. Which I'm sure that's a lot of woke people saying that stuff. Like it's like I was just talking to my sister about this briefly before it came on the air, and it's not that she's a lesbian that we're like, oh my gosh, it's just this doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for her power base, that they're so desperate to retcon his origin like this. And not that the Azazel story was great or whatever, but it's been that way for that people have known that for a long while, or at least the Christopher thing. But um to go this route, to be so desperate to have that woke stuff, and even the line about the binary and all that stuff. Of course, they're so woke. They're so woke, and not everything is for you. And I understand that these are not for me, at least not anymore. I don't remember the name of the writer, but there was one writer who's like, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my books. And there's plenty of people not buying these books. And so what I'm seeing today are a lot of people talking about like, well, I'm just going to erase all my childhood memories with comic books and replace them with anime and manga. And you know what? Anime, manga, that stuff is, those two industries really complement each other in a way that Marvel movies and Marvel comic books and stuff don't really complement each other to like help the sales of each other. And but manga is outselling the American stuff. And I understand why. I understand why. Eric July, which I haven't gotten his new stuff. I just have the first book. But I do like his code of ethics, his comic code of ethics, where he's like, we're not going to be making a bunch of multiverses. We're not going to be retconning a bunch of things. I like that. And you know, mangas and stuff, they have stories that they complete and they move on, and like the characters will grow up and stories will be about their kids, and or you know, or the writer will make a new series. They'll go on and make something else, but it's not just repurposing different characters, the same characters over and over again for some kind of you know, political cause or something. You know, they'll let stuff go, you know. But this is bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me. Not because she's a lesbian, just because they really are doing a lot just so Kurt cannot have a daddy. Just so this Catholic character could really have two lesbian mommies. And they've already retcon stuff or changed his origin, not just making him part demon, but making demons and angels and stuff not real, just making them mutants and having like an anti-religious bias. And I, you know, it just seems to keep on coming, and that's why I don't think the X-Men 90s cartoon remake thing that they're doing on that I guess will hit Disney Plus sometime will probably be done respectfully, because I don't think those people exist anymore, at least, or work at Disney that can respect where characters came from and respect things that their audience might like that might be different than the folks who actually run the stuff. Again, not everything is for you. I don't think these things are for me. And fair enough. We don't have to have a business invested relationship. Not anymore. Beyond me talking about it and being monetized and getting some clicks and views from you people. So, anyway, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please go to blacktnews.com. Check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website. It does cost to stream around my website and all that stuff, so you guys can support in that way. I do appreciate it. Please check out different merchandise that I have. I have this shirt here that's "I'm Not the Victim" that you're looking for. That's available at blacktnews.com. Also, if you're interested in the book I just mentioned, it's the second book in the series that has a particular character that I mentioned, but imagine like X-Men meets the American Civil War. So the main character, Charlotte, when she was a young girl, she was purchased by this woman named Lady Cohen. And so when she gets older, she realizes that she was actually selected because they sensed that she had an ability. And so she learns how to control it, master it, and so on, and learns more about other people like her. And she learns that there are people who are who think her kind are abominations. So something even worse going on than the Civil War and the enslavement of her people are these people who want to kill people like her who have these special abilities as well. And so the second book, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in New York, and that there's different, gang violence, other stuff back then, and the draft riots are in it. So which is really, really crazy if you don't know much about the draft riots during the American Civil War. But really cool series, really cool book. So I encourage you guys to check it out. So it's on paperback, it's on ebook, and if you guys do have Kindle Unlimited, you guys can read it there. But yeah, all of my books are my babies, but that one is my baby. Really love that one, and highly recommend it to people. So again, it's like the American Civil War meets X-Men. So there's people with some interesting powers. Charlotte herself can teleport. So go ahead, check it out, and check out my other books as well. I got books for younger readers as well, like Super Kid. So go get yourself something to read, or get someone a good gift for Christmas. If you go to blacktnews.com, go to the merchandise page, there's a banner at the top that'll take you to my book website. Or you guys can just look me up on Amazon, Christina Elbar, and Christina with a CH. Shouldn't be hard to find those books.